Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the All Things Georgia Call-In Show presented by UGAsports.com. I'm your host, Paul Maharry, joined alongside Andy Stowe and also Eddie from Acworth. Andy, your Twitter didn't work if you want to try it again. Guys, we've got a pretty big show lined up for you. Andy.
Connor Stallion.
We'll get to Andy being Connor Stallions in a minute. But guys, if you're joining us for the first time or for the 50th time, let us know where you're watching us from. Put it into the chat, and we will shout you out. Also, the show doesn't go without you guys, so let us know your comments. We'll be breaking down fall camp so far for Georgia, what little bit the media got to see, and then also what Andy Stowe was able to bring in. And
not much. They took it away.
Breakdown. We're a little bit further into this season for the Georgia Bulldogs. They've got Florida and Ole Miss up on our schedule here, so we'll be talking about them. Guys, sorry if I sound a little nasally. 3-time COVID survivor over here, so we're going through it again, but we'll get through it. So
does that put more hair on your chest when you survive 3 times?
Yeah, I think it does. And then, but I shaved my face myself because I couldn't go to the barber this week, and I feel like
wait. You go to a barber shop to have your face shaved?
I mean,
what is this, 1935? Are you a mobster?
I'm getting my hair cut. I get it shaped up. Yeah, and by the time
this is Paul the Don Maharry.
I thought I was one with all the money. This guy goes. Do you get pedicures and manicures too while you're there?
If they offered them, I would. Yeah, it's not so hard.
Okay,
I don't have no time for that.
Go ahead, Paul. Continue with the intro.
Ready? Hey, Chet Summers is here. Josh Skelton, Goat Dog, as always. Exotic Dregs, Eddie. What's up? How's the weekend, guys?
Dude, it's good. I went to practice. This was I get to see a lot of practice. Well, I say a lot. Like I get to see straight Doc Holliday.
Mm-hmm.
I get to see walking out of work and going by the practice field. So I hear Kirby yelling and all that. But this is the first time I've ever seen a practice from the beginning to the end. I got to say, if I had enough money, I would quit work and I would donate a ton and get Kirby to let me come out to practice. That was pretty cool. You guys should have been there. Y'all being football lovers, y'all missed out. I think the Garrett Key for hooking me up with that too, by the way.
Yeah, we'll get there. We're going to play it up a little bit. Eddie, how was your weekend?
It was great. My sisters both came over. Shout out to my sister from Oregon, came all the way in town with her son Willie and Ione. Missed the older sister Marie, but I had my nieces and nephews all there. So we had a great family camaraderie all day yesterday and the day before. It was great. So nice weekend.
Well, Scott Anderson's in here with us from Calhoun. We got Keith Bradshaw in here. What's up, guys? Good to see you guys. So what we're talking about here is Andy was able to go to practice, guys. And it was based off of the Classic City Collective. I think they get one practice. It's some type of tie-in. You know, Kirby absolutely hates it. But it's a tie-in for folks that pay for the Classic City Collective, go get to watch one practice. Now, the media wasn't even able to attend today. And so we have somebody that we know. I think Andy already shouted him out, but shout out to Garrett. And he wasn't able to make it. So Andy, as the good Samaritan that he is, decided to go. Take one for the team. So he shows up. It's hot, guys. It's hot today. 93, 94. I mean, probably closer to real feel, 103, 104.
Mm-hmm.
We don't hear anything from Andy, Eddie. Normally we hear something from Andy. You know, I thought we were going to be getting updates throughout the day.
No,
it's quiet on the home front, right? Mm-hmm. Then we get a text message. They took my damn notebook. I don't know what I don't know how he thought he was going to get away with taking notes at this thing.
Okay. I walked in and they saw me with it. It's not like, and we even talked to.
There's your friend. Why didn't you just walk in with an old school typewriter on your shoulder? You know, one of those.
Here's the thing. We even talked. We walked over to the Matt Hibbs. We walked over the guy that's basically directly under him. I can't remember Steven something. we went over there and talked to him because my boss that went with us, who's a part of the Athens Touchdown Club, they do a lot with the Classic City Collective. So Mike went over there, we talked to him, introduced myself, and I had my notepad, and he's like, yeah, y'all enjoy, blah, blah, blah. So we're there. I had been there for an hour and a half. Okay. So I have 5 pages of notes. I had first string offense, defense, second string offense, defense, third string offense, defense. I had all the numbers written down. I had it all worked out. I was going to come type it up where I could just look at it good and clean. And there's a girl that came down and I saw her coming and I was like, I don't know who she was. She was like, excuse me, sir, could I have that notebook, please? I was like, yep. I just handed it to her. She walked off. So yeah. So all of my notes were gone.
Does she have credentials? Who was it? Just some random?
She had a CCC shirt. So yeah, Classic City Collective. Yeah. And
okay.
yeah,
Wait. Why would the Classic City Collective care that you're taking notes?
I think it's because they know. Yeah, they're putting it on. It's their part of.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
And so there's but that's
Andy. You're supposed to secretly use the notes app on your phone.
That's exactly what I said.
It's
like you're texting.
That is correct. I will say that. But like I said, there was people behind me trying to take pictures, and I actually got a couple.
Yeah, but that's different. You're taking a picture. That's obvious. You're down here doing this. Come on, Andy. You're an IT. My God.
I know, but dude, look, I had this big book, and I had all these notes, and I was going to send it to you guys. But yes, you're right. I should have done it on my notes app.
So he just teased us, basically,
look,
Paul.
Needless to say, Eddie. Needless to say, Andy is probably never going to be allowed back in Sanford Stadium. Period. Not even if he purchases a ticket.
I didn't wear this, so I'm good. So don't worry, they don't know who I am. So
they know who you are, brother.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the cameras are in the sky, brother.
Well, there were a ton of cameras out there, so it was nice. So.
But let me stop you guys before we go any further with this. Yeah. To me, this whole thing is just silly. I mean,
it is.
What would Andy come back to this show with on his notes that would be like, oh my God, Clemson just learned what happened today in practice? I mean, seriously, it's just overkill, is it not? Paul?
Well, it's one of those things. We're in 2024. We're in such we want information, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want it quick. We want it fast, and we forget it too, just as quickly as we take it in.
Yeah.
But we want that's what we want. We want that information. We want to know, who's starting at running back. Is that going to matter? The one thing that kind of gets me is college is really tight-lipped about this, but the NFL, they're like, dude, if you want to come sit out here in this 100-degree heat in Flowery Branch for 7 hours and watch the whole thing.
For like 10 practices. It's like not just one, it's a bunch.
Yep.
Yeah. They're like, come be our guest. Like there's nothing to hide. And the NFL is a huge, I'm not saying college football isn't a multi-billion-dollar business, but the NFL is the largest sport in the world.
Right.
They're like, please come watch. So, it's unfortunate that it has to be like this because I think that you miss out on some, like Andy, probably this is, like he said, one of the, greatest moments of his life.
I wouldn't go that far, but
top 10.
Top 10. Okay. I mean, the national championships, we can put that right up there. The national championships and the Atlanta Braves winning the World Series.
To be fair, not to put your crap out there, you ain't married or had kids, so that
but what I'm saying is, like, this is a cool experience that he got to go experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people would love to go do that, right? Mm-hmm. But to be able to do it, you have to spend a lot of money with Classic City Collective. So. That's what's got it.
But we as fans, me and Andy, are starving for information this time of year. Just starving for it. And any little tidbit we can get. I asked you, Andy, about to watch the cornerbacks. Who was there? Julian Humphrey, Dalen Everett. Where's Ellis Robinson working in this mix? I mean, you get that information and bring that to the show tonight. Are we going to lose to Clemson because of that? I mean, that's the way Kirby thinks. It's just overkill. It drives me insane.
I think it's from the Saban tree, right? And it just continued on. Chris says, do you remember any of the notes?
I do remember a little. I'll tell you the things that I was most impressed with, Chris. When they come out on the field, from the time that they come out of the tunnel, Kirby Smart is yelling. He is making sure they get in their spots. He is so organized.
He's using a mic, right?
He's on his mic. Yeah. Okay. And so I wondered why he would not use like a boom mic or something. So he he likes to put it down when he wants to say some things that he don't want people to hear.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
Yeah,
makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
But he is so focused, so driven, and it is all like down to the second. When they changed the different groups, he had every group, and he was like, and he's yelling at them, "It's on the board, look up there." You know, I mean, it is so organized. And the players that I thought were the most impressive, Eddie, you're going to enjoy this. There's a halfback you're big on, Nate Frazier. That dude, Josh Skelton just wrote, Nate Frazier is so fast. He looked special. And again, he was going against so they were rotating him with the 2s and the 3s really.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so, he's not going against the 1 defense because Michael Williams, that's a man among boys. But Nate Frazier looks good. Another thing that caught my eye was really interesting was who was returning the kickoff return. Trevor Etienne was back there. I did not know he was a part of that mix.
Wait. Punt or kickoffs?
Kick return. Yeah.
Wow.
I had no idea he was a part of that. Yeah. I did not know he was doing any of that. And KJ Bolden was back there doing some kick returning.
Wow.
So, and he looked pretty good at it.
There's a couple nuggets. Huh?
There's a couple nuggets.
Can I interject here? Does he get live time? And I don't know how this works. They're all wearing GPS.
GPS?
Yeah. Does he get how does he know immediately where the KJ Bolden's slacking off on this play? Does he get that information through headsets? How does that work, Andy?
I think I don't want to speak on. Well, I think that's more just him watching it. I think they look at the GPS stuff after they look at the film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I
I thought it was
eyes.
live time. Okay,
No,
it's just his eyes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he straight up, Jarrett, he was on him all day, and he was yelling at him all day. Jaw got into a fight, and Kirby yelled at him. He was like, "If you got enough energy to fight, you need to have enough energy to get out of bed in the mornings." I mean, he's just nonstop yelling.
Do you think that's good that he's riding Jamal Jarrett, or that's bad? In other words, he's trying to he loves what he sees. He wants to make it that much better, or he's really slacking off and he's trying to get him to stop slacking off.
Well, Kirby also did mention to Jarrett when he was yelling at him one time. He said, "This is the same thing we've been talking about in the office." So take it for whatever that is. So I'm guessing he's riding the one. He's riding him because he expects something. Yeah, I think that's something to do with it. He thinks he's got a lot of potential.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah.
But another player I was really impressed with was Gunnar Stockton. I saw someone on the board wrote he thought Ryan Puglisi would overtake Gunnar. God, I thought Gunnar looked great. He did throw a pick in which Ellis Robinson made that pick, who was playing on the second team, just so you know, Eddie. But he made a great
behind, not that it matters, but behind Julian or Dalen, do you know? I mean,
I think he's behind Dalen. Yeah, I think he's behind Dalen. Okay. Cash Jones looked really good at halfback. I think our halfbacks are, but so again, as great as Trevor Etienne looks and kick returning, my boss that was with me, Mike, he was like, dude, Rob looks crazy good. He was breaking holes, and again, he was going with the 2s, but he looks explosive. And when he got here,
you said Roderick Robinson. That's what you're talking about. Okay.
When he got here, I didn't think he was going to be that explosive. He looks the part. Like, he looks really good. And then Branson looked really healthy. But the defense, I mean, the guys, they're like, CJ Allen is a freak. Like, the dude's a freak, and
How Raylan Wilson look?
He looked good. He was running.
Was he repping with the 1s, or
I think he was repping with. Yeah, he was repping with the 1s. I'm pretty sure he was or he might have been with the 2s. I lost my notes. But
you would have them right now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I think our defense is going to be really good. And so Dan Jackson was going with the 1s.
Yeah, no, that's not a surprise. I mean, that's not.
So he looks good. I wasn't overly impressed today with the wide receivers. I don't think they did anything bad. I just don't think there wasn't a lot of like deep shots, but they were running some good routes because they did so many different position groups. So there was a lot of good routes. They were running, like some was just like straight swing patterns over and over and over to the halfback. And then the wide receivers are blocking. I mean, there was so much going on, but I didn't think that they did anything like great. Arian Smith was running with the 1s, and he dropped a wide open pass. So that's still kind of there.
Okay, let me interject here. Do you think it's a small sample size?
Right,
it's probably a stupid question. Could our defense be better than it was in the run a few years ago. The first national championship.
I don't see Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis out there up the middle.
I understand that. I know that. I'm giving you the fact that we don't have either of those guys on defense. Could it be better?
I don't know if it could be better. I think it's going to be comparable. I think it's going to be right up there
Really?
with it. I think because
comparable works fine.
I think Michael's going to be a freak. Like I said, and our linebackers are going to be so good. And just another nugget, seeing Sackman Jones on the field out there, coaching, helping out and coach with the linebackers. It's awesome. Brings back Florida memories.
Awesome.
But I think
said, how about that tight end?
Ooh,
I'm guessing
that's
he's
a
talking
good
about
one.
yours.
Oscar Delp made a great catch. Oscar Delp was running with the ones, and Urasek was running with the twos. And I think they were swapping out some, but I thought Delp looked better. I thought Delp looked more polished. But that's nothing against Urasek. And again, you're out there on the field, they had like 4 groups going at one time. So you're sitting there basically scanning around, so it's
you're watching tennis, right? You're bouncing back and forth.
But Oscar Delp made a great catch. And I think it was I'm trying to remember who he beat. And Kirby yelled at him. He's like, "Oh, you just got burned!" He's like, but I don't know. I think they're big.
But to be fair, Urasek's just here, right? He had no spring practice, right?
Right.
So he's
For
everything.
sure.
He's getting it in waves right now.
Yes, and that's the thing. But yeah, Delp looked better today than he has looked. Because I last year he was new, but he looks like he's taken a step up, and so I was really impressed with him. Like I said, halfback.
Who's one guy, Andy, that you saw that? Sorry to cut you off. Who's one guy that you saw that you were like, that's a dude? Like that's a. What about?
I knew he was going to say Michael.
I'm telling you, when he came through, and it looked like he came through the left guard. It looked like where he came through, and he swatted the ball down. Carson Beck was throwing because they were 1-on-1, and he swatted it down, and he busted him with the Dikembe and just went.
Yeah,
really. I'm telling you, he is going to be a freak. I think I really expect him to next level 10 plus sacks. I think he's that good.
That makes me drool.
Yeah, he just looks so much. And then CJ Allen to me, but I don't know. I think
were you able to see the new offensive tackle, Jazeer Jackson? Were you able to spot him in the crowd, or
because he
wasn't hard to pick out.
That little short guy that was on the field. Yeah, no, he's big. But again, I was trying to kind of see, keep up with who was in there, but it was hard. But I think he was running in the 2s and 3s. But I mean, no,
did Chas Chambliss run with the 1s? I assume he did, right? You remember?
I don't think he was with the 1s. I think he was with the 2. I think I'm not sure. He might have been with the 1s. It was so hard, and I had my.
He took 5 pages of notes. They're all gone. This is all.
They're in the trash. No, it's. I just think that they have so much talent, and I think. I think Ellis Robinson is going to be starting. I think he will be starting.
Whoa, wait!
I think within 4 games. I think he's that good.
Okay.
I think he's that good.
4 games. I thought you meant game 1. He's going to start.
I don't think he's going to start game 1, but I think he's going to get a lot of reps. He looks the part, and he like I said, that pick he made, it was stupid good because it wasn't a terrible throw. He just undercut the route, and Gunner was throwing, but he just undercut the route and picked it. So,
Chris is asking, CT's asking roughly how many collective supporters were there? How many folks got to watch this with you, Andy?
I'm guessing it was probably around 1,000. I guess I don't know. I mean, it's hard to. Because the way it was, the way everyone was kind of staying under the second row of seats, so you could stay out of the sun. So all of those seats were kind of kind of used. So we were down. So I'm guessing somewhere in that range.
How long did you watch?
It was like 2 hours. Yeah,
because they watched the whole thing.
They got started at 2:30, and so I left right when it was ending. Yeah, so right when it was getting there. Yeah.
Chris Taylor says, quote, "It's in the notes. Might have some staying power this season. It might just.
I think I'm telling you, here's the thing that is, and we talked about it last week with the other teams that Georgia plays, the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s. They're so good. They're so deep. There's so much talent, and you don't want the unthinkable to happen with Carson Beck getting hurt, but I think they got some guys. Ryan Puglisi, his arm looks ridiculous good. Rashada was really thin. He probably can't take a hit right now, so he needs to get.
Yeah, but I'll push back on you a little bit. That's the one position you don't want to see a backup.
No. I'm saying no. I'm saying that God forbid CJ
Allen goes out. we're good. You know, the quarterback's a totally
Right.
different animal.
I'm just
right?
saying, I don't think the sky would fall if Gunnar Stockton was starting. I thought he looked great. I was really impressed with Gunnar. He can run, he can move, he can run. Like I thought his throwing, his arm strength looked great. His accuracy was great. It's the best I've seen him look. And since he's been in Athens, I've never been overly impressed, but I was really impressed. I thought he looked good.
Good.
Marsh Mutt says, just so we're all on record here, I'm assuming you're all on Optimism Island.
Oh,
when
yeah.
It comes to the Dogs.
The flag is definitely planted on that island for the Dogs.
Yeah. Now for the Braves, we'll get there. We'll talk about that a little later, Marsh. Real quick before we go to these breakdowns of Florida and Ole Miss, got a couple more questions that popped in. How did Kobe Young look?
I didn't see him. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
And you see anybody starting at star?
That's good. Aguero?
Yeah, Aguero was running with the ones. Or no,
Yeah.
Aguero was running with the ones on
Right.
for that star position. So
Yeah.
and Kirby was yelling at him a good bit. So
Is that right?
Yeah.
There we go. But yeah, guys, once in a lifetime experience for Andy. And when I say once in a lifetime, I truly mean once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
They're not going to let him back in
No.
after
it's
the,
over.
the notebook. But he had the time of his life, guys.
That was great. It was being a crazy.
Now let me ask you this, Andy. Was anybody else around you that you saw doing what you did with a notebook and taking notes, or were you the only one?
Well, it was me and Mike, the guy that was with me. Yeah. So it
was he taking notes?
Yes, because I got him. I said, okay, you watch I was like, you watch the offense and you get the starters.
But I'm saying, were other people around you doing the same thing, or was it obvious you were the only idiot there transcribing notes?
Most likely I was the only idiot doing it, but that's dedication.
And that's on you. No, that's idiocy, because again, IT notebook, use your phone. Garrett Key, who's a moron, said use your phone, and he's 100% right. Love you, Garrett, but he's right. Come on,
I just realized
Andy.
you're wearing like a Florida Gator shirt. Who are you calling a
No,
moron?
that's Punch Out. Look, you just can't see it. See?
Okay, well that's cool, but it's still the wrong colors. But
Shut
man,
up. Chris Taylor says Stallion was very dedicated.
Hey, I was doing the Lord's work. So trying to, just
we love it, Andy. That's great stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't. I thought it was a joke, right? When he texted,
you dropped your phone laughing so hard, didn't you?
Yeah, he was like, "Well, they took my notebook away," and I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "That's a good one." I was like, "It's a funny joke." Like,
no, it was real. It was so real. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyways, man.
But I will say, you guys, if there is an opportunity to go do something like that, y'all should do it if you can. Because
will that be offered again this year, or is that done till next year?
No.
It was a one-time
might have
thing.
ruined it for the whole bunch.
I know. That kidding aside, are they going to do this again this season? No. Okay.
I'm sure that's a one and done deal. But
it's done forever.
Yeah.
James said Kirby's going to find Andy's UGA manifesto. Yeah, Kirby's reading it right now. He's reading it right now. I bet somebody did read it.
I'm sure that girl looked to see what it was, but it's in the trap somewhere. But
yeah,
they probably can't even read.
Was she hot? Not that it matters. I'm just curious.
I mean, I don't look at girls like that. I don't want to objectify.
Was she attractive, Andy?
Yes, she was. Calm down, Eddie.
Yeah.
Wonder if they went and read your notes, Chet says. I wonder if they did. I really wonder if they did.
Calm down.
Anyways.
Eddie. Okay, this is a logical question.
And Chris said, hopefully the rest of the notebook didn't matter. It had in my nephew's little league baseball team batting order from like before COVID. It was like 5 years ago batting order. That's what was in there. So it's no big deal. So,
oh man, 27 days until Georgia and Clemson take off in Atlanta, guys. We're getting close. We are under the 1 month mark. We are under the 1 month mark. I repeat, 1 month to go, less than. Jeff from Georgia says, yes, Connor Stallion style. Two dudes writing in notebooks and sneaking photos of the board. Yeah, I love it, man.
Andy, you're going to get so much crap.
Oh, that's fine.
I love it.
Yeah. I don't care because I was there and you guys weren't.
Yeah,
so.
no, you were.
No, you weren't. No,
you're right.
No, it's just the notebook, man. It got me, man. It really
Hey, it's good. I was gonna bring it all out. Yeah, I had everything good.
Oh man. So as we stand right now, we've got Georgia. What's the record, Andy?
Oh, are you talking about for the year? Well, you guys said they were going to lose to Texas, and so 2 of 3 had Texas. So currently, that means we're at 5-1. Is that right?
6-1, 5-1, 6-1.
Maybe 6-1. Hang on.
Yeah, help me out.
6-1. 6-1. Yeah,
6-1. So we're now at the schedule in Jacksonville, Georgia, Florida, and Jacksonville, November 2nd. Normally, this game I feel like lands late October. November.
It's usually
2nd.
Halloween or there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like the weekend after, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Damn. I know Andy put the spread in here, so you probably didn't look at it, Eddie. What is the spread?
19, isn't it?
Oh, okay, you looked at it. There was nowhere.
I read the notes, Paul. Believe it or not.
Okay, well, I just read it for the first time, as you can see from my reaction.
Clearly.
Yeah, it caught him off guard. So.
Yeah. 19-point favorite UGA is per Circa Sports on this one. UGA 4-1 last 5 against Florida.
Yeah.
7 returning offensive starters for Florida. They've got their quarterback Graham Mertz coming back. They've got running back Montrell Johnson, wide receiver Eugene Wilson, who I think he's pretty talented. They've got wide receiver Kahil Jackson, left tackle Austin Barber, center Jake Slaughter, and right guard Damian George. And then on defense, they've got 6 guys returning. Defensive end Tyreek Sapp, who I think is pretty good. Nose tackle Cam Jackson, D tackle Caleb Banks, linebacker Shamar James, if you remember his name from recruiting.
Good.
And then cornerback Jason Marshall. They've got both their kicker and punter both returning as well. By the time Florida links up with Georgia, man, God bless them. God love them. That schedule is terrible for them.
Yeah, it is.
That is a rough schedule. And I'm not going to say we're going to see Billy fired by now, but the seat's going to be tremendously hot.
He could be gone by then. Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, if it starts off ugly, he could. Yeah, Andy's not wrong in that.
I could see if it starts off bad, if it does go bad, I could see them getting rid of him in that off week because, they have – so Georgia and Florida plays the second, and Florida they play Kentucky October the 19th. If it goes sideways, I could see them getting rid of him then and having a coach for the second, basically
like the second part of the season, basically.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wonder if it's going to happen.
So for Florida, Eddie, they opened up with Miami. That's such a crucial game for really both of those programs, honestly, because it will determine the season. Like I said, for both programs, I really believe in it. They start off, that's the first game of the year. Then they've got Samford at home, Texas A&M at home. They go to Mississippi State. They have UCF at home.
And that can be
a tough game.
Yeah.
Then they play Tennessee, Kentucky. Then they have the bye week and play Georgia. Man.
That's when the gauntlet starts.
That's when the gauntlet starts for them, right? Because they've got Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. All 5 of those last 5 games, they're certainly the underdog in all 5 of those. Plus, you counting the ones before that. Where are we at with the Florida Gators, Eddie?
Well, I think you make a great point, Paul, that it's silly to say that the beginning game could be, how your season turns. If they lose to Miami at home, that ain't good. That's going to be a tough thing to overcome. I kind of give
Miami's a 2-point favorite in that game.
Yeah, I know, and that's crazy to think about, right? Because the Swamp that's a place you just go to lose. But yeah, if they lose that game, it could be a disaster. But Paul, I just don't think this fan base is going to put up with another losing season. You saw what I wrote about the losing seasons, right? With Billy Napier here. He's under a lot of pressure. I mean, they haven't had 4 – what did I write? They haven't had 4 losing seasons in a row since 1935 through 1938. Yeah. And this if they start off and they get in a losing season here, that's why I think, Andy, to your point, what you're talking about, let's say they lose to Miami – Stanford's a win. Texas A&M is at home. They lose there. At Mississippi State, they win. So they're 2-2, and they lose UCF. I think he's gone. I think that if they come out and have a losing part of their first half, I think they fire him because they're just fed up. They're not going in the direction that they expect.
Chris Taylor, CT, has a good point. He says, what's the strategy on a mid-year firing, though? Why do that?
Getting out in front of the other teams to get the coach you want.
try to get. I mean, recruiting, is faster than anything these days.
Yeah.
Early signing period is right after the season. First part of December.
Yeah, so you've got to have somebody in place. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Eddie, it's also the boosters. The boosters are going to be like, we're going to stop sending money to this school if you don't get rid of this clown. I'm not calling Napier a clown. I'm saying at that point, right?
You lose to Miami, Texas A&M, maybe to Mississippi State on the road. I don't see that happening, but then UCF comes.
Like Andy said, that's going to be a tough game. So there you go.
Well, Texas A&M is a 4-point favorite in that game, and that's also.
And then you go to Tennessee. You don't think Tennessee wants some blood in that game?
Oh yeah,
from last year. Oh my God,
Kentucky's feeling good about
Florida
recently.
Okay, well, so realistically they could be coming in to play in Georgia. They could possibly lose to Miami, lose to A&M, lose to UCF, lose to Tennessee, lose to Kentucky. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They could potentially have 5 losses.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not.
But let's not get it. Also, though, there is
let's do the flip side of this.
There is a flip side to this, right? They're not a terrible team.
No, Graham Mertz was pretty good last year, and he's going to be better this year.
Number 1 in SEC completion percentage at 72.9% last year.
Yeah.
Only played 10 games, I'll give you that. And he threw 3 picks. 3. That's good.
Eugene
Wilson's the guy can play.
Pretty good wide receiver.
Yeah.
Good running back.
Yeah. They've got their left tackle, right guard, and center coming back. So 3 out of 5 pieces on the offensive line. This could also be, a flip for Billy Napier. I think Billy's a decent coach.
Oh yeah,
right? And people want to call him Sunbelt Billy, and he can't produce in SEC. He kind of walked into Florida with the cupboard was pretty bare. Let's be honest. It wasn't the Florida that we remember, right? Because the Florida that we all remember is Tebow, right? Like that, and them having
Steve Spurrier as well.
Or the fun and gun with Spurrier.
Fun and gun,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, for the older crowd, like y'all, but this isn't either one of those, right? This isn't even remotely close.
No.
So that goes back to your point, Eddie, where these donors, they remember Steve Spurrier, they remember Tebow, they want to see that again, because much like you, Eddie, they are getting older and they want to maybe see one more championship before they lay in the ground, So, I think that we could be talking about a team that is really bad by the time they get to Jacksonville, or have weathered the storm, and like nut it up and come together, right? And might be a tough game in Jacksonville. Yeah. I lean more towards the former as opposed to the latter because this schedule is tough and they've got some guys, but I don't think they have the depth necessary to fight the best schedule.
Yeah, they don't.
But there is that ladder that they could, rally around and be a tough game for Georgia, right?
Okay.
Here.
Well, if they beat Miami, do you think that jump starts them?
I think. Oh yeah.
If they lose to Miami,
crucial.
If they lose to Miami that first game of the season, it's going to get ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's stop here real quick. Let's say they do beat Miami.
Okay.
Then do they beat Texas A&M at home too?
Very, very. I would say probably so. Yeah.
I'm going to say that's a loss. I'm going to say they beat Miami and Sanford. They lose to Texas A&M, and then they beat at Mississippi State. Okay.
They beat UCF then, right?
See, I don't think they're going to beat UCF.
I haven't got there yet.
I'm saying let's say they beat Miami.
Okay. Well, then that's possible. Yeah.
Now this team could potentially only have one loss.
Yeah, they could
play Georgia.
It could very well be because then they would be in the top 25.
Which would be what?
I have losing to Tennessee.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
What about Kentucky?
Yeah.
That's best case. Yeah. Right. Best case
scenario. And really, you make a good point, Paul, because the gauntlet of their schedule is the back end of their schedule.
Correct.
Starting with us, basically, right?
Correct.
And just remember last year, at the beginning of the year, they lost to Utah the first game of the year. Then they went on to beat McNeese State, Tennessee. They did beat Tennessee last year. They beat Charlotte. Then they lost at Kentucky. But then they beat Vanderbilt and South Carolina. But then they lost the rest of the way out. They lost to Georgia, Arkansas, LSU, Missouri, and Florida State.
I see very much the same thing happening once it gets to Georgia.
Yep, I can see that.
It could, yeah. 6-1, 5-2 going into UGA. James says
that's the thing. They could be anywhere from 6-1 to 2-5.
Correct. I was just about to say they could be 2-5 too. So this is a team that we won't know until that first game. We really don't know what they've got. Lindy's projects them to finish or preseason 37th, but projects them to finish 12th in the SEC.
Yeah.
They've got 3 questions here. Does Florida have the depth to contend, which we talked about already?
Yep.
Can Napier shore up the sideline communication?
It was
I didn't
always
understand
crazy.
that. What is that?
Do you not remember last year on the first play?
When like the special teams.
Yeah,
That's true.
So,
but
yeah,
that's going to improve now. Well, I mean, I would think with the
this
headphones and all the stuff they're using on the sidelines, right?
I don't know. They've been doing it for 2 years, so I don't know about that. But,
can the defense tackle better? Is the last question from Lindy's. Was 11th in total defense in 2023. And I'm guessing 11th in the SEC.
Yeah, 11th at the SEC.
Yeah. All SEC, they've got first team Montrell Johnson. They've got him there.
Montrell Johnson had some good numbers last year. He rushed for 817 yards with 5 touchdowns, and he caught 236 yards with a touchdown. So, I mean, he's a good back. He played over Trevor Etienne.
I was going to say Etienne transferred.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, he was starting over Etienne. So.
Eugene Wilson and Jeremy Crenshaw, their punter, are on the second team. As for Phil Steele, 48th in his preseason rankings, picked Florida 10th in the SEC. His 3 questions with the nation's toughest schedule, could this be the end of Napier? Well, we've already went through that. Well, they have 4 straight losing seasons. Eddie already brought that up. And can Mertz continue to stay healthy and beat what he did last year, 72.9%? I don't think so. That's
crazy
numbers. He's got Montrell as his first team running back on the SEC, Shamar Jones and Rocco Underwood, the long snapper.
All right.
A little love getting on the second team.
I had to think I saw the LS. I was like, what is LS on special teams? Long snapper. Yeah.
Then third team, Austin Barber, and he's got the kicker on there. So we'll see. They're saying Montrell Johnson's injured.
He did. I didn't know that. Did they announce that it was 3 weeks?
So that's boy.
Yeah, my buddy Kevin sent me a message. He was like, "This year's starting off good. Montrell Johnson's hurt," but I didn't know.
If you're Billy Napier and your Montrell Johnson just went out, you got to be looking at it going, man, I got to find a way out of here.
Well, I'll tell you guys this real quick. You know how Steele rates the individual units of each team. The highest ranking he has for Florida is the receivers, and they're ranked at 21st.
And they lost Ricky Purcell as well, or Purcell.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything else is like 23, 24, 20, 30. I'm talking about, linebackers, defensive line, et cetera. It's just, they're just not jumping off the page in any, and back to what you said, Andy, that's depth, right? It's just not there.
And Chet, I have the notes you need to know. Getting killed by Georgia. That's all you need to know, dude. So Georgia is going to steamroll Florida this year.
So, all right. I'll ask you guys, do they cover 19?
Yes, easy. Blow them out.
By the time Florida gets to Jacksonville, there will be won't be much left in the tank.
No.
I'm gonna be the contrarian. I think we win by 14.
Okay.
Fair enough. So we're all in agreement here on the win, right?
Agreement is not a word, it's agreement. Come on, journalism major. Agreement is not a word. Look it up.
Oh,
People say that all the time.
Okay, so I've been saying
we're all in agreement. It's agreement.
An agreement is, I think it's a real word.
Okay.
There is an article right here on grammarist.com. It says agreement versus agreeance. I don't know. I think it's a real word. Anyways, just really
Paul
threw me
thinks
off
it, then it's over. I mean, we're done. So. Anyway, the point being, I threw Paul off. Go ahead,
It's
Paul.
a win, right?
It's a win and they cover.
Yeah, it's a win.
It's a word. Google says it's a word. There we go. All right.
Encyclopedia Eddie.
Yeah, Encyclopedia Eddie over here. Goat Dog says. UGA at Ole Miss in Oxford, November 9th. This is a fun game.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah.
It's a fun game. This is a game we talked about Georgia, Alabama being for Georgia fans, the biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
We talked about Georgia, Texas being the national like big game of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are a like freak of nature, love offenses, love I don't know how to describe it. This is the game for you.
Like fast paced, just nonstop.
Yeah, just nonstop going.
Well, so let me tell you a little quick note about that. During when I had my notes written down that I lost, Kirby, when they had a period of just go, he was yelling 9 seconds. That is the fastest offense in the country. 9 seconds, go, and he's counting 1, 2, 3. He's trying to make the offense go at 9 seconds. So I don't know how fast Ole Miss is going, but that is what they're looking at. Some crazy fast-paced offense.
This game for me is going to be the most fun game of the year.
Okay.
In terms of just being able to watch two really good quarterbacks, which I think Jackson Dart is a pretty good quarterback. And I think he'll challenge Carson for that number 1 pick in the NFL draft, or number 1 quarterback picked, rather. I think he's really good.
You think he's that good?
Yeah, I think he's good.
Okay.
For this, William Gray says, hey, Eddie, stick to cooking rice one at a time.
That's a red bean one at a time, not rice.
Yeah, red bean, yeah. Garrett Keith says this will be Ole Miss's biggest game of the year. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, we're everybody's biggest game of the year, Garrett. Come on.
Yeah, and then I saw this also over the week on Twitter. Apparently, people were saying Jackson Dart hurt his knee. That's not the case. Yeah, they were saying ACL. Okay. It's not the case. Okay. No, nobody has. That's just something that Twitter took and ran with it. So we see that a lot. So that's what that was. 7-point favorite, Georgia. Yeah. 7-point favorite.
And that's including being at Ole Miss. So that's the 3-point thing as well. Yeah. So that's kind of a 10-point thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
JC says, look at my chops for this one. I just don't believe mass free agency will work in college football. It never seems to work in the NFL. Might be different. It works in college basketball sometimes.
I get his point. I understand what he's saying. It didn't work for Texas A&M, but let's not forget Lane Kiffin had like 15 transfers in 2022. So they weren't as bad as Texas A&M. It can work. Let me ask you guys a question about this game. So I know Kirby et al. All say none of the other seasons matter. This is a new season. Nothing in the past matters one dang bit. The last time Kirby went to Ole Miss, they lost 45-14. Y'all remember that game?
Yeah.
We got absolutely run out of the stadium.
You remember who the coach was? You remember who was coaching there?
Go ahead.
He's at Auburn now. So that's, I don't know that it matters, but I just think I don't think because it's no longer Hugh Freeze is there. So that's just I
understand things have changed, but I'm just saying the way Kirby, he tells us none of that stuff matters. But Are you telling me in the locker room, he's not talking to these guys about the last time he went there? Because none of these players were there, right? Well, that's 2016. So none of them were there, but
that's like 10 years.
Right, that's a long time ago. Sorry.
Hey, but there's a guy playing for Miami that's class of 2016.
Well, Graham Mertz this is his 6th year. We're talking about Graham Mertz. This is his 6th year. So anyway, does 45-14 weigh into this at all for Kirby and his mindset?
Maybe.
It's probably he's probably just using it as motivation for himself. But yeah,
he's not going to express that to the team. He's just going to keep that back here.
I don't know.
That's fair.
Jermaine says definitely bring it up.
That's what he may say. Hey, we got embarrassed here last time. Do you want to? Don't let that happen again.
That was so painful to watch. They just blitzed our ass. It was rough.
Yeah.
But I also brought up last show about the history and the historical records, and you said none of it mattered.
No, and that's fair. I don't think it does matter, but I think okay, let's talk about that for a second, Paul. That's a great point. So you were bringing that up historically, like, does it matter going forward, like how Georgia approaches this game, for the fans, et cetera.
Right.
And all I'm saying is Kirby was there. He lived through this butt kicking, right? Yeah. And maybe he uses this as a little extra motivation to get back at Ole Miss. That's all.
CT says he'll play the footage.
And he probably will. Knowing Kirby, he's crazy. Yeah. So
7-point favorite for Georgia. Georgia last 5 games against Ole Miss, 4-1. 7 returning offensive starters for Ole Miss: Jackson Dart, Trey Harris, who is a monster wide receiver, Jordan Watkins, their tight end Caden, their center Caleb Warren, their right guard Jeremy James, their right tackle Micah Pettis. They've got 5 guys returning on defense. Defensive end Jared Ivey, defensive tackle JJ Pegues, linebacker Kari Coleman, and then both their safeties, John Sanders and Trey Washington. Of course, they've got to return both their kicker and punter. Lindy's has Ole Miss 5th in the preseason rankings. Wow.
That's big.
That's strong.
This is their highest preseason ranking ever, right?
Gotta be. Yeah. 3 questions Lindy's asked. Can the retooled defense keep up? Can Dart make Heisman history? And can they manage the lofty expectations? I think
that's the one that's really interesting to me,
Yep.
Paul. Sorry.
What do you think, Eddie?
I don't know. It's just go ahead, Andy. You wrote this. I don't know what happened to Paul. But go ahead, Andy. You wrote this.
Well, can they keep the law or meet those lofty expectations? So here's the thing. Lane Kiffin is their head coach, and I love Lane. I think Lane's an excellent head coach, but he's a little crazy. So I could see Lane doing something crazy, like, because you saw when he played Alabama 2 years ago, whatever, they were going for it on like 4th and 40. And so
right.
I mean, he does crazy things like that. And so I don't know that they can meet those lofty expectations. And plus, like I saw that that Alex Page wrote, they got Walter Nolan now. They went out and got a ton of dudes. Like the impact dudes, they went out and paid. I mean, like it's gonna, but how good will that work? I think the thing that works good for them is they do have the 7 returning starters on offense and the 5 on defense. So you can kind of more mesh. It's not like just 11 new players. But yeah, I think the lofty expectations is going to be tough. And then plus, how deep are they? Are they 2 deep? Are they 3 deep? And the answer to that is no. They are not that deep. They're not as deep as the elite teams.
I'll take a little different angle here. So we talked about Florida's awful schedule, and they have literally the hardest schedule in the nation, right? Ole Miss has the 40th, if you want to call it that, easiest schedule. Okay, could they benefit from the schedule, because they're going to be favored easily in their first 6 games, and they get Oklahoma and us, UGA, at home.
Yep,
that's huge, right? And by the way, they're the only SEC West team, I know it's gone, we're not in divisions anymore, that have never made it to the SEC championship game.
Yeah,
think about that for a second. Their last SEC championship was 1963. Okay, and that was before all the divisions and that kind of thing. So, yeah, there's a lot of hype there, Andy. Absolutely. But I think they're going to be a factor because of that schedule. I just think that easier schedule is going to help them. And I'm not trying to knock their program.
Oh, no.
I mean, that's big, right?
It is. Well, but you look at so their first game is against Furman. They're going to win that. Then they have Middle Tennessee. They're going to win that. They're at Wake Forest. I don't know. I mean,
they're going to win that. Come on.
I'm just saying that's a way. But then Georgia Southern. But then they have Kentucky coming to Ole Miss. That could be tricky. And then the week after, they're going to go to South Carolina.
That could be tricky. I think that's their first. I really think that's their first tricky game.
Okay, honestly. And then the week after South Carolina, they play at LSU.
At LSU, that's a loss. They're going to get killed by us. Now, okay, I'll back off. They're not going to get killed. LSU is a tough place to play at.
It is.
LSU hates Bama first. They hate Ole Miss second. They hate them.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to get killed in that game. I think that
I backed off. I didn't say killed.
Yeah.
I said that initially, but you're right. I don't think they get killed. But
yeah, and then after that they're off. But then they have Oklahoma at home. But then they go to Arkansas before they play us.
Garbage.
So I mean
it's a bye week.
I think they're undefeated by the time they play Georgia.
They very well could be.
Yeah, I mean it's very possible. I do too. So
you know what? Let them be ranked number 1 when they play us.
Oh God, nice? I sure hope so. Mississippi State all over again. Let's see a
Tennessee all over again.
A couple guys we didn't mention because they're not returning. Normally we just talk about the returning. They've got Juice Wells from South Carolina.
He looks good.
He looks good, but then also I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter this week, there was a picture of Juice Wells in his Ole Miss uniform saying, "Hey, he's got to come play us." Talking about the South Carolina guys sent that out, saying traitor.
And they take him out. So
yeah, Yeah. So Juice Wells, they've got Walter Nolan, they've got Princely. I can't pronounce his last name, from Florida.
Princely's fine. Princely's fine.
Yeah. Chris Paul Jr., who was a tackling machine at Arkansas. They've got Braden Turnage, who played for Tennessee and Alabama at corner. I'm just looking at their depth chart here. And it's either returning starters or it's transfers.
Yeah, transfers that were starters. And I mean,
there's nobody that doesn't have any starting experience starting for them this year.
Can I throw in right here?
So
Phil Steele points out, I'll read it. The O-line back with 222 starts between them. The O-line is very, very experienced, okay? And he also ranked the wide receiver room as 13th in the nation. So
I feel like that's probably a little low.
Do you really?
I think it could be higher. Juice Wells and Trey Harris.
Yeah.
It might be, I don't know, top 3 1-2 punch in the league.
And Jackson can sling it, right?
Oh yeah, he's going to sling that thing. This is going to be extremely tough game for Georgia's secondary. But by this game, this is kind of where Andy brought up Ellis Robinson, also KJ Bolden. This is, what game is this, Andy?
For the Dawgs, this is number 9, right?
1, 2,
10.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
9.
8, 9.
Yes, 9. Yeah.
By this game here, we'll know if KJ and Ellis are playing significant minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are, this is going to be a true test for those two guys. Without a doubt.
I mean, you're talking about Harris at wide receiver. He had 985 yards last year and 8 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that's the thing. It's like they have, and Watkins, he's back as well. He had 741 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, and then you're adding, I mean, you're adding Juice Wells. I mean, that's going to be tough.
Chris Taylor says effectively sophomores. Yes. If both of them were to play significant minutes game 1.
Right.
But what if they don't? What if neither one of them get brought on until game 4, game 5?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have to worry about that.
I'm just saying that's a test.
Yeah, it is.
All right, guys. Georgia at Ole Miss. Georgia's a 7-point favorite. Around the horn, Andy.
I say UGA wins, but I do not think they cover that. I think it'll be closer than that. I think they'll win, but no cover.
EFA.
UGA wins and they cover this by 10.
Oh,
I think they're on a mission to go out there. I think this is a big game. Paul, you kind of questioned me on the historical thing. I think this is in Kirby's mind. He wants to get over that, and he goes out there and lays the wood.
Man,
Paul,
you're not seriously considering an L at this point, are you?
He may say a push.
It doesn't matter. I mean, we got 2 W's in the column, so
right. That's why it doesn't matter. I'm glad that it doesn't come down to me because I could see it going either way. I will take Georgia.
Really?
Yeah, I'll take Georgia, but I think this Ole Miss team is very dangerous.
So no cover.
No. But I will say you probably don't want to play this team in the playoffs if you're Georgia.
You didn't want to play them last year in the playoffs if there was such a thing.
Yeah, you don't want to play this team twice. You don't want to play this team twice. This is going to be a tough game. Like,
we smoked them last year, though. There was a lot of hype last year, and we smoked them. So
yeah,
but
I think they're a little better this year, though.
Yeah, and they're a little better
this year.
I agree.
But
I think we're going to be better this year too, though. So.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun game. This is going to be the blood pressure game for Eddie. This is going to go ahead and double.
That's not a fun game. That's not a fun game.
Go ahead and double up on the meds, Ed. On this one, this is going to be the one for sure.
What do you mean? What do you mean by fun? Literally, because I hate to say this as a fan, but the close games back and I mean, you know what? I'll just go ahead and say it as a fan, Andy. You can back me up on this. The season it should be, but it's not fun. It's hard. You're just so invested. You're like, you just want to kill everybody and just relax and have a few beers and like, okay, we got this. They're not fun. They're hard to watch when Georgia's maybe not playing their best game. Ole Miss is up by 3 with 4 minutes to go in the game. That's not fun. It is afterwards, Paul. We do the POS show, and you win the game. But when you're going, that's why y'all hate me during the game, because I'm an a-hole during the game, and I'll readily admit it. And that's why I'm going to start turning my phone off, because you get emotionally invested in these games, and it's so freaking hard to watch. Right, Andy?
Pressure is a privilege, to quote Kirby Smart. So
but that's for the players. That's not for the fans.
I know it is like, I mean, it's like, that's the thing. I'm with James. Yeah, it sucks. Like, I tell you though, what kind of really changed for me, it does suck if you're down or whatever. But when the Georgia Bulldogs won the national championship 3 years ago and then won it again, I was so at peace. When I thought Georgia was going to lose to Ohio State in that Sugar Bowl, I was so at peace. I was like, we won a national championship last year. It's okay. Like, so that. Okay, and I'm with you, but it's just like, I mean, I don't.
That's a great example right there, because my wife is not as invested as I am. If we lose, she's like on to doing something else, and I'm awful for the next 24 hours.
It kills me. I don't watch football.
She even said she's watched every second of that Ohio State game until I had basically a breakdown at the end of that, because it was the greatest ending ever. It was an incredible game. But she told me after that game, she's like, that was a really hard watch. That was a hard game. And it was, right? Because we had no business winning that game. So even she, as kind of a marginal fan, admitted that was a hard watch. So there you go, right?
I mean, I'm with you. I know what you're saying. But.
So to scale this, for me, it's going to be a fun watch, because I can watch both of them and just watch them play. For you,
so basically, Paul's more mature than me and you, Andy. That's
no.
Yes, listen, that's exactly what he's saying.
No. I'm just watching it from a different lens, is all. For you, it's going to be a hard watch. It's going to be a hard watch for you.
What lens is that? Can I have that lens? Can you lend it to me?
If Georgia loses a game, do you watch any more football for the rest of the week?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't. If Georgia loses, I'm done for the weekend. There's no more football for me. So
he's more mature than we are, Andy. He's
not more mature.
That's
exactly my job. This is my job.
Here we go. It's my job.
Oh, Mr. Get Paid over there. Look at me with a paycheck. Getting my beard shaved. No wonder he pays him to do his beard.
Exactly. The 1930 shave.
Yeah. Speaking of a team that I will get very frustrated with is the Atlanta Braves. The Braves have picked it up, or have they? Question mark. We've made this joke quite a few times. We have Optimism Island, and then Eddie says that he doesn't control Pessimism Island, but I think he does. He's very much a cult leader over there, and he's got a cult following, really, too. I was very close, gentlemen, to bringing both of you back to Optimism Island.
You're close.
You could hear the cheers going on, and then, the party died down on Saturday against the Marlins, and then Sunday today against the Marlins. I'm still there, guys. I'm not going to give up on this team. I haven't yet, right? So there's no reason for me to now. But where are you guys with this team?
Well, let me ask you guys, did y'all watch today? Because I was at the practice, so I did not get to see it. And
I watched a little bit of it. They got blown out, yeah.
Yeah, Max Fried did he just get touched up? Because he had 6 or 8.
He got pulled when we were down 3-0, right, Paul? I think.
I don't know. I fell asleep.
Luke Jackson gave up a 3-run bomb. So there you go. So
they can cut him.
Now, I'm not blaming Luke, but when we were down 3-0, I got that old feeling, Paul. And when Luke gave up that 3-run bomb, I turned it off.
Yeah,
did Fried? I mean, did y'all get any sense of how
he was okay? I mean, he wasn't dominant.
Glavin was talking about him a lot, saying that he was missing on his outside pitches to righties.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He wasn't doing whatever he was.
But the pitching is still not the problem. It's the bats.
Yeah.
I keep saying it, Paul. I've been saying it all year. 2 steps forward, which we were, right? The Phillies are in. I think they won today. They did. But the Phillies had a 6-game losing streak.
Yeah.
We keep doing 2 steps forward and 3 back. That's what we keep doing. And we've been doing it all year since we started 18-6. And until they change that, I'm going to stay on my island, Paul. Sorry. They have not pulled me off this island.
Yeah, for me, it's much like James is saying, kind of hoping for another 2021. I just think if you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. Anything in these weird short series now, you can take momentum fairly fast. Is all I'm saying. And sure, you run now. Once we get to those 7-game series against the Dodgers,
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Maybe the Phillies, it's probably tough. But
I disagree with you there. I think this team in a 7-game series can actually do better than a short game series.
Really?
And the reason, yes, because think about the Phillies for a second, okay? Zach Wheeler, who would he face first, Andy? Zach Wheeler.
And then Aaron Nola. And then it could be Ranger Suarez. It's just depending.
He's hurt, though. We don't know.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. I just think you could weather one of those two. I think in a 7-game series, I actually feel more confident with this team than I do in a shorter game series.
Against the Phillies, maybe, but I don't know about the Dodgers. The Dodgers, that's going to be a tough
But we're not going to face them in a short game series, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know how the playoffs play out, but we'll figure it out. So you're saying you're going to stay over there for now, huh?
I've been telling you guys until they take those 2 steps forward and not 3 steps back, I'm staying right here. And they keep doing that. We lost to a AAA team twice this weekend. They're not good. Berger's a really good player. They have some great bullpen pitching. Other than that, the Marlins are garbage. Yep. And you blew one yesterday, and today we got our ass kicked. That's unacceptable. I'm sorry. You don't do that against the Marlins. You don't.
I feel like I just got scolded and I didn't even play.
You did get scolded by your elder. You got scolded.
Apparently, you've been gaining some weight, Eddie, according to Ken from Cumming.
Says God, Eddie has put on some weight.
Well, it's Ken from Cumming. I mean, that guy weighs $110. I mean, he's whatever. I put on weight. I put on muscle. That's different, Ken. Come on. Yeah. Jesus, come on, what is he calling me, a fat ass?
Yeah.
Do we need to address this? Do I look fat to you guys?
No, not at all. No, not here. You're welcome. As far as the Falcons, we haven't talked about them in a minute. They had their open practice over at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's cool. Looks like they had more fans show up than the last Atlanta United game.
Yeah, they had a lot. Yeah.
Grady Jarrett back. Good to see him there. Kirk Cousins out there dropping dimes. Dropping dimes. I told you guys.
What about
you did.
But you also. What about Michael Penix, though? Is there going to be an issue with there?
No.
No. It's just
they've said it. They've said it already that they are going to look at this just like Green Bay did with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. Yeah. And Green Bay played this perfectly because Jordan Love now is a freak.
Yes.
And Jordan Love wasn't ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL when he came in.
But is Michael Penix?
I think you could.
See, that's the thing. I think he's close.
But also, Andy, I don't think you're gonna have to wait as long to bring Penix in.
You're not.
Like the Packers did with Jordan Love. You maybe have
contract may change. Yep.
Yeah. You have 2 years, and then by the 3rd year, Penix is the guy. With Love, I feel like it was a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
And I could be mistaken, but I want to say
I think it was 4 years with Love.
Yeah, I think it was like 4 years. Yeah. So half the time there. So, I'm optimistic, very optimistic about this.
I am more bullish on the Falcons than I am on the Braves,
which is
that's how
kind of crazy to me.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Let's bring in somebody who's always a bull. Old Dane Young.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Dane?
It's a fresh haircut you've got there, Dane.
Yeah, that's nice.
Paul, I cut my own hair, and I have for years, just because
the number 3.
It's a job. This is this is shorter than that on the side.
It's like a 1 on the side. Yeah.
I'm talking about up top.
Up top, I think that was a 3.
Do you not remember that? Have you ever had that feeling of walking out of like a barber shop where you got the fresh fade and like the fresh beard and you just feel like a new man?
I mean, I get that when I save the money and do a decent job myself. No one's looking at my hair and caring about my hair. So as long as I'm cool with it and my wife's like, that's fine, then this is what we're rocking with. Saves a lot of money.
I like it. Yeah. I mean, everyone can't get the barbershop to do their beard.
That's right. I know.
It's probably the most dad thing about me. I drive a truck that's 18 years old just because I don't want to spend that money either.
Yeah.
I spend money on other things.
Hey. Nothing wrong with that.
Let's bring in somebody who's always a bull. Old Dane Young.
What's up?
Hey.
Nothing wrong with that.
What are you talking about tonight, Dane Young? Besides your financial responsibilities
and in his hair.
We're talking. Well, we could do a show on that just entirely if we want. We're talking Carson Beck. How did he improve so much from the first game last year to the end of the season? And it's not just talking heads like us that mentioned this with Carson Beck. It's something he said at SEC Media Days, that it felt like two different players, even him within his own body. So what does that look like? What did he improve so much on? What is there still to improve on? We'll see. There's a lot to be bullish about with Carson Beck, but I was among his biggest detractors at the beginning of last season.
Yes,
and
you
man,
were.
that dude
Yes, you
made
were.
me eat some crow.
I was with you. You and I talked. We said there's going to be a quarterback competition. We talked about that.
Dane Young, I'll quote you: the Georgia Bulldogs cannot win a national championship with Carson Beck. Now they didn't. I'll grant you that.
I mean, they didn't, but that team was good enough to do it. So
Yes.
I was wrong by all metrics that are there.
I was with you, Dane. I was right there with you.
And I may still end up being right in what I said. Georgia may never win a title with him because it's going to be hard to win a title this year too. But Georgia's talented enough to do so. He's talented enough to do that. So that take's already wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
you got to fall on your sword in the take business sometimes.
Sometimes you
okay.
do, yeah.
I was with you. I agree. I was right there with you. And I think
and you said, no, hell no, don't. No.
You sent a text. I have a text that you said that he could not win a national championship.
No
I think
shot.
you said Beck's not the guy.
Nah, I don't think you got that.
I'll give you like a little bit of a teaser here, because if I said, what is the thing that Carson Beck could work on the most? And I think most people would say, oh, yeah, it's the deep ball. You see that? A little inaccurate with the deep ball. That's kind of the narrative there. When I've rewatched some of this, and I don't think this is unique to Carson Beck, this is just any quarterback. When pressure is on him, he doesn't make the right decisions he got better at it, but like Georgia's offensive line also didn't allow much pressure. Alabama had him a little bamboozled, and you could see that. And it wasn't that he made critical mistakes, but he wasn't a playmaker early in that game.
He panicked a little bit in the pocket, Dane, is what you're saying, right?
And most quarterbacks do. I mean, every metric says you get pressure on a quarterback, they're not as good. So that's going to be the kind of push and pull with defensive coordinators against Georgia. How much do you pressure Carson Beck to try to make that happen versus what does that leave behind for the playmakers to do? If it's me, I'm trying to pressure them a lot. I'd bring the house and see what they get, because I don't think Georgia's quite strong early in the season. No Bowers, no McConkey. Other guys have to emerge. I think Georgia can grow there.
I think that also goes back to his boy, Amarius Mims, went out in like the first play of that game. Yeah. Amarius Mims was his statue there, and that changed his thinking right there.
That's when the game changed, really. I mean, that was
absolutely it did.
Real quick before we get out of here, I'm going to invite Brent on. Brent, did you hear the story of Andy's notes?
I did not, and I wanted
Dane,
to.
Did you hear the story, Dane?
I wanted to hear the most impressive
As
thing.
I was putting the 4-year-old to bed, I heard that Andy tried to sneak some notebooks into practice.
He snuck a big typewriter in. He put it on his shoulder.
I got it for like an hour and 45, and then they took it right after that.
Phone is for.
Such a rookie.
That's it, Brent. Yeah, it's what your phone is for.
Or take an iPad.
The moron.
I was going to do the iPad.
Andy, you know what I've seen from some media folks, and we've had some of our people do this too, is that they'll have their phone and the voice memos thing, and they're just talking to the phone the whole time and saying everything, and you can write it down later.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I think they would have stopped them from that because they came down. They were checking people on those things. But
I want to say that like 3 or 4 years ago, there was a scrimmage, and I may or may not have been in attendance, and there was a laundry list of notes on the bench. I think I connected some dots to get those notes on the bench. But anyway.
Yeah.
So what'd you think? What'd you think, Andy? What was the most impressive thing to you? Because I know what mine is always.
I mean, the most impressive thing to me, one outside of Kirby's organization and how he runs the show was I really like the running backs. The running backs I think are really good. I think we're so deep at running back. And but yeah, I think Kirby's just how he runs the deal. It's nonstop.
They don't waste a second.
No, God, no. He's yelling at them. Were you at the practice?
Today? No.
Yeah. Oh, well, and that's what the cool thing I liked was when he was getting them to run the plays in 9 seconds or less. He said that is the fastest team in the country goes at 9 seconds or less. So he's doing it's nonstop. He's so organized. They come out of the tunnel and he's yelling immediately, get to your positions. I mean, it's just nonstop. So yeah.
The thing that always stood out to me was how all of these humans are cyborgs, because like even the ones that we don't talk about on shows like that. I remember when I stood beside freshman Julian Rochester, who did not end up having a career that was as highly touted as he was
until his last year. Then he had a really good year.
He was a contributor, but like he was fine. He wasn't like future NFL starter. That guy was like the biggest person you could meet, and you're like, we're not the same breed of human.
Yeah,
like something else and that's all of them. And I don't know that we talk about that enough as media folks.
And what's amazing this year is, people have said, "Hey, 56, man, 56 looks a little small." Well, then 56 is Micah Morris, who's listed at 6'6", 320, who just happens to be standing beside 64, who is 6'10", 340.
So we've been seeing all the football team in the Georgia Center, and y'all know I'm short. I'm 5'8", and I'm not very big, but like these guys hover over me, like they are 2 or 3 of me. They are just massive dudes. They're so big.
It's the Steph Curry syndrome, because the sport he plays, everyone thinks that Steph Curry is like 5'5" out there among them. That dude's 6'3". Like he is way above average anyone that most people know.
Yep.
I do think, in terms of what hearing and seeing and things with practice and what's going on, I've long thought that maybe Micah Morris playing right tackle, you get your best 5 on the field that way. But a lot of Tate at center reps, maybe that's the get your best 5 on, and best and most experienced 5 on the field at certain points in time. Or if you're dealing with a defensive line that is more girth, because Wilson's a 6'3", 300 kind of kid.
I think that's also an insurance policy, though, Brett, of if something happens to Wilson, that you don't have to go down to
you're going to experience Drew, Bobo.
But I think also folks are counting Micah Morris out, and I like Micah Morris a lot.
Oh, he's
one more quick question.
What's their best?
I got one quick question for Dane and Brent. I got to ask this. Julian Humphrey, Dalen Everett. When does Ellis Robinson, or does he start?
I think that's up to Julian Humphrey. I don't think it's necessarily up to Ellis. I think if Humphrey plays well, he's going to stay on the field. Now, if Robinson just keeps earning, you might see what you saw with Humphrey last year, where it's third game I get a fourth series I get some run, and then another series I get some run, and then the next game I get a little more. Every third series get some run, that kind of thing. I think that's where you eventually get to, but.
I'm not dogging the question. I just think that works itself out usually with injuries or things just happen. It's like you want to have more depth than not. So I don't think coaches are thinking about it that way. The players probably do. They're trying to stack themselves up to see where they stand.
Paul, before you close out, one thing on September the 2nd last year.
All right, guys, we appreciate you so much for joining in, and we will see you next Sunday for the UGA Sports Georgia Call-In Show. I'm Paul Maharry. That's Eddie Acworth, and there's Andy Stowe. See you later.